All right, everybody, a wild week of the wild card series for the MLB playoffs. We're going to break it down, and we're going to break down the division series for the MLB playoffs. Let's get it. All right, another episode of Seriously Butthurt Sports here. My name is Nick Litch, and I got Ralph Lindsay with me. What's up, Ralph?
Hello, and I believe the Oakland A's just took the lead.
They did.
With
I
a
could
solo
see
shot.
Look at
Love
that.
seeing it.
We are doing some live baseball a little bit with the A's and the Astros tipping off the series, the division series of the MLB playoffs. So let's go into what happened wild card week, along with the Tampa Bay Lightning taking the Stanley Cup.
Yes.
I called it.
Yep.
I called it.
Tampa Bay took the Stanley Cup. We will be doing another NHL episode soon to recap that. We're just waiting for the NHL draft to finish so we can get both in one shot. So keep a lookout for our next NHL episode with Zach and I to recap the Stanley Cup Finals, but also to talk about the NHL draft.
That's exciting. So hopefully the Devils could do something, but I don't have any faith in them any longer.
Well, Zach himself is a diehard Devils fan, so he will be breaking down plenty of Devils picks, so don't worry.
That's good, because I don't care. So let's get into the main reason Ralph and I are here, the playoffs, the MLB playoffs, the wild card week. It was exciting.
Yes, it was.
To say the least, right?
And as I said, don't sleep on the Marlins.
I'm still not sold, but let's go into what happened, and then let's break down the future of the division series. So, first on my list, we had the Padres, the 4th seed against the Cardinals, the 5th seed in the NL. Padres win the series 2-1.
Yes,
I had them down and out right before they annihilated the Cardinals in the second game, and Tatis and Machado were popping off.
Tatis Jr. woke up. He put his name in there for, again, one of the stars in the league right now. Great young player. He's going to be relevant for years and years to come. He not only did offensively, but he did defensively as well. He showed in that third game.
He has a friggin' cannon. Yes, that was the third game. Yes.
Yeah, he has a cannon.
Do you know the last time in the playoffs two players of the same team hit back-to-back home runs? Or no, it was a 2-run home run game for two players on the same team.
No.
It was Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig.
Nice. Of course, it's got to be the Yankees, obviously. Duh.
It's the Yankees. So let's go down the list. Continuing on with the Marlins, the 6th seed of the National League, and the Cubs in the 3rd seed, a sweep. I did not see that coming. I think I said the Cubs in 3. Pretty sure. You have a better memory than I do to hold me.
Yeah, I believe we said Cubs in 3. Well, I believe you said Cubs in 2. I said Cubs in 3
You're right.
because
you said Cubs in 3.
I said Cubs in 3 because, again, it's just Miami. This year, Miami is that young, pesky team that, because everyone says they're down and out, they're just going to keep on winning. Also, fun fact, I didn't know this going into it, but I learned it before the first game of that series. In the Miami Marlins history as a franchise, they are still undefeated in playoff series. They are 7-0 when they're in the playoffs, when it comes to playoff series. But once there was also, the stat also came through that at home, the Cubs this year just weren't a good team at all at home. So it was maybe one of those things where being at home hurt them. But again, it's just Miami is that young team right now that wants to defy everything and just be that team that just wants to shove it to people. We'll get into my predictions for them in this next round later, though.
Yeah. Next, rounding out the National League wild card, You had the Brewers, the 8th seed, and the Dodgers, the 1st seed. No surprise there. I did think that the Brewers were going to give a little fit, but ultimately the Dodgers came out on top. So
as was expected, that was not going to be there was no surprise there. Dodgers handled their business. Although I will say,
Kershaw looked good.
Kershaw in the playoffs for the first time looked good. That definitely is a result of a shortened season, no doubt. But
let's keep an eye on that for down the road of the playoffs.
If Kershaw continues to be that good, it's the Dodgers. Let's put it this way: it scares me a little bit if the Yankees and Dodgers do make it to the World Series. If Kershaw can be that dominant.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. But I did see good things from Kershaw. So even though it was very hard to stay up that late, but.
Look at his MO has been once he gets to the playoffs for some reason he can't perform. So it was actually good to see him perform like that in a playoff game.
Yeah, because he is a Hall of Famer, and we can get all into that in the postseason, or in the off season. But it's sad to see that he's just not that good in the postseason. But maybe this is the year. All right, now let's swing over to the American League. We had
first, let's not forget about the Atlanta Braves beating up on the Cincinnati Reds again.
Oh, did I miss that?
Yeah, you missed that.
Oh, I did. You're right.
Again, no,
I skipped. Doesn't matter really.
No surprise. Atlanta beat the Cincinnati Reds.
I said they would go 3 games, but I've been wrong a lot this season.
Atlanta in 2. Bauer was dominant, but they pulled off that. What was it, 12-13 inning win in the first game?
That was wild.
After Cincinnati lost that game, because Cincinnati had numerous chances to win that game, after Cincinnati lost that game, it was almost guaranteed Atlanta was moving on, because that is such a devastating loss to a team when you have that many chances in so many innings and you are literally dominating your opponent, but they still find a way to beat you. It's hard to come back from that type of loss.
Definitely. All right. So we rounded out the National League.
Yes.
So now we have the American League, the 7th seed, the White Sox, and the 2 seed, the Athletics. Oakland takes the series 2-1. Told you.
Well, I picked the Athletics too. I didn't say White Sox were going to win. I just knew they were going to give them a hard time.
I mean, they didn't give them much of a hard time. I mean, they hit the overs on most of their games.
They won one of the games. They kept the whole series close. It's not like the A's blew them out.
But you know who did blow out a team that was supposed to give a little bit of a fit? Moving on to the next matchup, the Yankees and the Cleveland Indians. I did think it was going to go 3 games. And the last game, game 2, you probably would have thought, yeah, we're going to a game 3.
It was the back and forth of it. Back and forth. It was a heart attack of a game for anyone watching it. That back and forth. I mean,
I'm not gonna lie. The Yankees-Indians matchup in the last couple of years have been the most exciting playoff baseball that I've seen in my life.
They're always stride. I mean, look, Garrett Cole did exactly what we signed him to do in Game 1. Absolutely shut down the Indians. The Yankees offense went off in Game 1. But then, of course, Game 2, as you just said, Cleveland comes back, makes it a tough game. Gio Urshela, though, with the grand slam, continuing to fight throughout that entire game. That's a huge win from a team camaraderie / momentum standpoint. That win is something to look back on the further the Yanks go in this postseason. That's a win to look back on, because that's the type of win where when you come from behind with a grand slam, but 2 battle back and forth and come out with the victory, showing the fight we know that this Yankee team has. They've shown it the last 2-3 years. It's not like the fight is anything different, but to do that in the playoffs, continue to fight back, and then pull off the win, that's the type of game you draw on as a team going through the postseason, especially because you can then just say to yourself, even when it seems like you're down and out, you know in the back of your mind, we've done this before. We can come back from this. It's not like we're down and out yet. So that's a game to pull on going forward in this postseason for the Yankees, especially.
Yep, definitely. That gave me a lot of hope, but I'm still going to take one game at a time.
Always a good strategy.
Yep. You have the AL wild card for the 8th-seeded Blue Jays against the number 1 seeded team in the American League, the Tampa Bay Rays.
No surprise, ho hum. Rays destroyed the Blue Jays, and
Yeah, they
can't.
didn't come up to show to play.
No surprise.
And I mean, and to the hopeful prediction for the last wild card matchup of the Astros and the Twins, they can't win a freaking playoff game.
The Twins make the playoffs, and that's about it.
They make the playoffs.
That's their MO. We make the playoffs, and that's it. They cannot win a game no matter who they play.
And their manager is so good. That's the thing I don't understand. They have such a great manager. Did he win manager of the year last year, or was in contention for it? I think actually
off the top of my head, I don't know.
Yeah. But such a great manager and such a great regular season the last couple of years. Again, you can argue where they are and what division they're in, but I just don't think.
So yes, 2019, Rocco Baldelli won Manager of the Year in the AL.
Okay. And they were down in terms of home runs from what they normally hit from last year, right? But they were still producing wins and series. So I don't get it. I think they just have a curse on them that they just can't get over.
Yeah, it really is a conundrum. It's just that team that they make the playoffs, but it's not even like they can't win a playoff series. They can't win a game. They've lost 18 straight playoff games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's unheard of. It's one thing to not be able to win a series, but to not win a single game, it's you have to almost try to do that in the major leagues. You really do. And I don't know if they get to the playoffs and they all of a sudden tighten up and try to do too much rather than just do what they do the entire season. If they think about it so much to the point where I overplay, it's one of those things where it's just, I mean, yes, we have the Red Sox who went X amount of years without winning a World Series. You had the Cubs who went over 110 years it went to before winning the World Series. But it's not like they didn't win playoff games in between.
Right.
They still won playoff games. They still won playoff series. The Red Sox got as far as the ALCS multiple times just to be thwarted by the Yankees.
Well, I'd have to challenge. I don't know about the Cubs as much. I know from memory as a Yankee fan, yes, definitely the Red Sox.
Well, no, the Cubs, the one that sticks out the Cubs is obviously the Steve Bartman game. That's the big one in Cubs history where I believe that was the furthest they had gotten in a very long time. That was supposed to be the team that finally broke the curse. And then obviously, if you're a baseball fan, we all know what happened with Steve Bartman, even though it wasn't his fault because many forget the fact that Alex Gonzalez, who was the shortstop with the Cubs that year, had a routine grounder hit to him and just botched it, which then led to all the runs being scored. But neither here nor there. You're right. The Cubs weren't in the playoffs nearly as much as the Red Sox were. But even then, the Cubs still at least 1 year made it and were winning games. We're talking about a Minnesota Twins team that hasn't won a game in the playoffs the last 18 games they've played.
And I wonder how many were wild card games. I mean, I could think of one. But no, they played the Yankees last year in the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they lost that series. They got swept. I don't know.
It's it's a conundrum to say the least.
It is.
That's all I can say about it.
Well, maybe we could break that down and kind of go into that and see what happened in the off season. So anyway, let's move on to the exciting division series. Let's go into the National League first. The Marlins are facing off against the Braves. That series starts tomorrow at 2:08 Eastern. So if you got nothing to do during the day, there you go. On MLB Network
Or
Fox
if
Sports.
you're working from home and just want to throw on the baseball game,
I am not. I focus when I work.
For those of you who don't have to focus as hard as Nick clearly does during work, if you want to throw it on in the background, feel free.
Well, I am I after what I saw, I'm still going Braves in 4.
Agree. The Marlins will find a way to win at least one game. The Braves will overpower them at this point.
If it goes to Game 5, throw everything you know about baseball out the window.
No, I'm not going to say I'd be surprised if it goes to Game 5 because I really wouldn't be if it goes the full 5. Because I do think this is going to be a harder fought series than people would think, just because, again, the Marlins this year are that pesky team that are young, that fight, and are going to just want to throw it in everybody's face. But the Braves...
Arlington, right?
Yes.
Okay. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. Will have any impact on the game.
Well, it is going to be interesting this year with the neutral sites to see how that plays into everything, being that you don't have true home field advantage, quote unquote. But it will.
Are they
so
switching the unis up for the games?
I would have to imagine they would. You would still go with home and away unis and whatnot.
Not that
they did that. They did that in the NHL playoffs. They do that.
And the NBA. Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll still go back and forth with the unis just because that's one way to symbolize who's home and away.
You notice they didn't put to totally go down a rabbit hole. They didn't put the postseason logo on the uniforms this year. Do they think they're not going to sell as many? So they didn't even bother.
I did
They
not.
just put it on the cap.
I did not see that. I didn't. Well, I didn't pay attention to that. Are there not postseason logos on the jerseys today?
Nope, I don't think so.
Interesting.
Just on their hat.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a Nike thing or something like that.
Maybe. Well, then that ruins Nike even more for me. But anyway.
Well, that's just one thing that comes to mind. I don't know. But yes, I agree. Braves, I believe, are going to do this and win this series in 4. They're just going to overpower the Marlins, and this is where the Marlins' little undefeated series run comes to an end, I believe.
If they win, you're going to hear an abundance of things about Don Mattingly. As you should.
Yes. I mean, look, Don Mattingly's a good manager, period, whether they win or lose this series. Obviously, if they win this series, you're going to hear more and more. But Don Mattingly in his own right is a great manager to begin with. And it is part of the reason why they've made it this far this year. So it will be interesting to see what happens going forward once we get back to a 162-game season.
Right.
How him managing this team is going to – what the team's going to look like and how they're going to pan out in the coming years.
Right. So we shall see. So let's cut the speculation and just wait for the outcome. Dodgers, Padres, that starts tomorrow. Oh, man. From what I saw from the Dodgers last week, there is nothing stopping them. And if Kershaw could pitch another gem like he did, I think this goes 5. I think the Padres put up a fight, and this goes to Game 5.
I definitely believe the Padres are going to put up a fight. The thing that I'm questioning is, can Padres pitching hold down that lineup the Dodgers have with Turner, Betts, Bellinger? That's my one question mark right now. Is can the Padres pitching hold down the Dodgers lineup I'm going to say Dodgers in 4 because with what we saw out of Kershaw, with Bueller, that it's just the Dodgers team is just when you look at it on paper in every aspect better.
So Bueller's set to pitch game 1.
Yes.
So if the Padres can get to Bueller and knock him around a little bit, I think that shows something.
Yes.
I think that they may not win that game, but I think that gives them enough confidence going into game 2 to say we have a powerful lineup that can be, damaging to a pitcher. So we can do it whether it's in the beginning of the game or if it's late in the game and we're down. Because they proved it last week, right?
Yes.
So I think game 1's going to be pivotal on what they do. They don't have to win game 1, but I think they do have to get some runs together and some hits together in order to get that confidence to move into game 2.
I agree with you to an extent because if
they get
yes,
shut out game
if,
1, that's it. I think that's
well,
done.
even if they get to Bueller and they sort of pound him around a little bit, yes, you gain confidence from that. But if you still lose that game, you still just that gives the momentum more to the Dodgers because the Dodgers are at that point where, look, we don't care how we win, we just want to win because that's all that matters, and they know that, being that they've been
But
in the World Series the last 2 years.
as the Padres, you can go into game 2 saying that Kershaw is pitching, and his record is not that great in the postseason. Give him credit for the game that he pitched well last week. But historically, statistically, his numbers aren't that great in the postseason. So if that's any glimmer of hope for the Padres to get to Kershaw game 2, if that's actually what happens, I think the Padres can hang in there till game 5.
Again, yes, but the only caveat is, again, this year we didn't have a 162 game season, so Kershaw essentially is more in mid-season form rather than a end of season going into playoffs form to where he's had the miles on him, which I do believe contributed to his dominating performance in the game he pitched in the last series. So, yes, I understand where, look, Kershaw doesn't have the greatest playoff record, but again, this year being only 60 games, he does not have the wear and tear on the body, on the arm that he's had in the past, having to go through an entire 162 game season. So don't be surprised if he comes out and dominates, maybe even more if that's possible than what he did, because now he has that confidence from that dominating performance. So these are all things that need to be brought into consideration, and only are in consideration because of a shortened season.
Okay. All right. Let's move down to the American League Astros Athletics. Currently, right now, it is Monday, 5:47 on the East Coast. The Athletics are now leading the Astros 4-3, but have 2 on. So
2 on, 1 out.
Top of the 5th. And so you go first.
I want to see the Astros lose so badly. This were one of those things where because of the wild card round now yes, it was against Minnesota. Yes.
A win's a win.
A win's a win, and it's just one of those things where now, how much of now the fact that they have that win under their belt are the Houston Astros just even more on fire to get to the World Series, to show everyone we don't need a trash can, even though it still seems like they needed a trash can based on their numbers during the regular season. I'm going to say this is going to go 5 because the Astros are going to fight and just want to prove everyone wrong. I do believe the A's wind up winning the series, however. The A's bested them during the regular season, if I remember correctly, by a pretty decent win-loss margin.
Yeah.
The A's, just as everyone want to put the Astros in their place for everything that went on, and I think the A's have the team to move on, especially in a neutral site where the Astros don't have any type of home field advantage, especially that very short left field train station area, whatever you want to call it.
I don't think either team is that great, but I do think, just on a feel, I think this goes to Game 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Astros win, and it sets up for a very, very exciting American League Championship Series.
Oh, boy.
If my other prediction holds true, which we'll go into that now. The Yankees, Tampa Bay. Wow, this is gonna be some good shit.
Yes,
this is gonna be great TV. I mean, you have Garrett Cole going up against Blake Snell tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Yankees in Game 1. I like the Yankees anytime Garrett Cole is pitching, especially in the playoffs.
Obviously, that's why we got him.
That's why we paid a lot of money for Garrett Cole.
Yes, we paid money for specifically this playoffs.
I think this is going to be a bloodbath, this series.
It will, especially when you think back to what happened during the regular season between these two teams, with Aroldis Chapman throwing behind.
I still don't get that, but you know,
I don't understand it either. But look, either way, the bad blood is there, so it just sets up for, again, great TV, a great series.
What do you think?
I think Yankees in 5. This is going to be a hard-fought series. Like I said, I'm sticking with my prediction. It's going to be a Yankees-Dodgers World Series. The Yankees bats have woken up. 2 straight games, they scored 5+ runs, even more than that, I believe, if I remember correctly.
They scored 13 runs on the Game 1?
They scored 10 in the second game, and I believe it was 12 or 13 in the first game. So the bats have woken up. The bats are there.
12 in the first game, 10 in the second game.
Yeah, so
if you want to take the over, take the over.
Yeah, so the bats have woken up. Garrett Cole, again, his postseason numbers speak for themselves. So I see him coming out and dominating once again. I don't care what his numbers were in this regular season against Tampa Bay. It's the postseason. You can throw the regular season out the window at this point. Garrett Cole I fully expect to dominate again tonight. I hope the Yankees bats find a way to get to Blake Snell just like they got to Shane Bieber in Game 1, which, by the way, I was correct on who would hit the first home run. Thank you very much.
Aaron Judge?
No, well, you asked who was going to hit the first home run, Minnesota, Cleveland, or the Yankees. I said Yankees. You said Cleveland.
Yes. And I said whoever scores the first run is going to win the game. So
yes, which
had everything wrong.
So, again, it's going to be a hard-fought series. It's going to be crazy with the bad blood.
I think it's the best matchup.
Oh, hands down.
The entire postseason. I'm not saying that because I'm a Yankee fan. I think these are legitimately the 2 best teams in the major league, in the American League, but overall in the major league, with the exception of the Dodgers in the West, in the National League. So
they're the 2 best teams in the AL, but when it comes to the majors, you put it's Yankees, Dodgers, Rays right now in those top 3.
Yeah,
order them however you want. Those are the top 3 teams in the league right now.
I think so.
When everything is said and done, healthy and all that.
I mean, I'm down for 2003 World Series rematch of the Marlins. Tanaka. So Devi Garcia just came out. Devi Garcia is to take Game 2. That's a little cause for concern.
Interesting. Devi Garcia is going Game 2, but Tanaka's going Game 3. Yeah, I wouldn't say that's a cause for concern,
I'm not a fan of it, but
Oh,
what else you got?
interesting. Um,
So
interesting.
that means they're gonna piece a game together with Devi, a bullpen game, maybe Montgomery, maybe Hap in there.
Well, here there's multiple. There's
And what's wrong
multiple
with
ways to look.
Ottavino? Where was he the other night?
I think it's just there's no confidence in him right now.
You think so?
I think it's just confidence, and now with the and again, this is where this mandatory three batter rule also comes into play and is complete garbage, as I've said multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you have to face three batters, if you don't have confidence in one pitcher, you can't say, okay, let me put him out there, see how he does. Because if you do that now, you're saying he's got to throw to three batters.
Mm-hmm.
When in the playoffs, especially, you might not have three batters to give someone that shot. Whereas normally, okay, you can put him in for a batter. If he does well, okay, keep going, go batter to batter. However, if he does terrible in that one batter, okay, now we take him out, put someone in there that we have more confidence in. I think right now it's just a lack of confidence, and then compounding that with the rules at where they stand right now is why we're not seeing a lot of Ottavino, in my opinion. Because I mean, I haven't heard anything injury wise on him. I haven't heard anything from that standpoint. So it has to just be a confidence plus three batter rule. Now, it's one of those things where if the Yankees can get a huge lead, sort of like they did in game one in the AL in the wild card series, then you throw him in there to maybe see if you can get his confidence back up
Mm-hmm.
and also faith in him. But again, it's playoffs. You're looking to win the playoffs with a 3-game, 5-game series. Every game matters a lot more because that one game swings you here or there. I'm guessing Aaron Boone is expecting Cole to come out and shut down, and they take this
Have a
game.
full
So that way,
bullpen tomorrow.
but then also that way you're not putting a rookie in a game 3 situation where it could be either a
Okay.
potential clinching series clinching game
Okay.
or we need this win to get back up in the series. I'm guessing that's where my thinking is going in what Boone's thinking.
It makes
Cole's
sense because you like Tanaka in the postseason, so
yes.
you like his numbers in the postseason.
And
So
and if Cole pitches lights out again, we get the win in game 1. We're up 1-0 in the series. It gives Devi his first playoff start a little bit more relaxation, a little bit more breathing room to maybe make an error or two. To where, look, if we lose the game, we're just back to even, and then we have Tanaka come in game 3 to help us win and go back to up 2-1. I think that's where Boone's head at is right now. It'll be interesting to see if the Yankees wind up losing game 1, if he maybe changes things around again, or if he sticks with Devi. Most likely will stick with him because once you tell a pitcher, hey, you're going this game, you don't really want to then turn around and say no, because then that's a confidence just shatterer. But that's just my thinking.
And you don't want Devi on the mound for a game, an elimination game in game 3 potentially.
Exactly. So
either way,
either way, putting him in game 2 for his first career playoff start, whether you win or lose, is a better way to go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's definitely going to be an interesting ride. My final thought is how the MLB botched game 2 of the AL wildcard of the Yankees-Indian game, putting them out there for 1 inning. And then the half inning that Tanaka was out there. And I think I understand why they let the game go, just to be fair, for the usage of Tanaka. But those conditions are not okay for baseball. I think that was a total disaster. Who was looking at the radar? Because Yankee Stadium, I know the grounds crew there is very efficient at looking at the weather radar. Is very efficient on timing of things, and they will not go until they feel nothing coming from the sky. So I just question. I think mostly it comes up to the ground crew, but I think the MLB has the final say. I just think it was a terrible, terrible thing that they did.
I
That's my
mean,
final thought.
yeah. I mean, look, it's said and done. Yankees won the game anyway. So, at my opinion, that is, look, could have been handled better, yes, but Yankees won. Who cares? We're here
Sure.
in the next round. We're all good. And now they're in San Diego. Just
Sunny.
sunny.
Have you seen any of their Instagram stories?
I have not.
They're all like Tyler Wade. I follow Tyler Wade on Instagram. They're just like in freaking paradise.
Oh, I bet they're in sunny San Diego.
I'm not surprised.
They're used to being in New York during this time of year where it's starting to get cold, everything's changing, it's freezing. Now they're in San Diego, sunny, warm all day long.
Right by Coronado Island, San Diego's a beautiful town. If you ever
They're having a blast. As long as it doesn't prevent performance, then we're good.
I'm still down to go down to Arlington. Just putting it out there. We could do a show down there. All right. Well, it was fun breaking it down. As always, I like breaking it down with you because you gave the honest truth. You've also played baseball. I think it gives a little unique perspective. Your Broncos not doing so good.
They got to win. They got a W. Yes, it's against the Jets, but they got a W. Again,
they were limping.
They're still limping. Drew Lock is out. Cortland Sutton's still out. Phillip Lindsay's out. We know Von Miller's out for the year. They're limping. But look, Jerry Jeudy looks good. Noah Fant producing. And look, they're for where they're at right now. I'm happy with what I'm seeing.
Well, at least it makes one of us because my team is.
We don't need to get into the Giants. Although you did get to see the Cleveland Browns beat the Dallas Cowboys this weekend.
I mean, that just solidifies that the NFC East is just atrocious.
Look, at this rate, the NFC East is going to have a playoff team with a losing record, it looks like.
I mean, that's happened before. Come on. Don't just target the NFC East. I think the NFC South had something like
Let's
that.
Save that for a football show. We can go into a lot more there.
Yes, we will have football as soon as the MLB playoffs are done because that's what we want to focus on. We are a baseball podcast. While we are a sports podcast, we want to focus on baseball, and that's our goal. So to bring you all coverage. So I don't want to commit, but maybe I'll give some sort of post-game live show after everything. It depends on how late it goes. All right, Ralph.
What, the game starts at
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock between these two teams. That might be a late live show. So
I will see. Anyway, again, good time, Ralph. We will be back as soon as this madness is over. So hopefully next week, I think, maybe over the weekend. So that's it. That's all I have for you. Nick Litch, Ralph Lindsay, Seriously Butthurt Sports. Like that. Smash that like button, as Frank, the producer, says. And thanks for listening, everyone. Have a good playoff division series.
Deuces.